Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the u20 Rugby Championship. And after the upset that we've just seen between Argentina and New Zealand, there is an opportunity here for the Junior Boks. If they win this game with a bonus point, they would secure this Rugby Championship under-20s competition with still their game in hand up against New Zealand next week. And boy, did they have a great start to the comp with the way that they played last week up against the Argentinians. They were able to get a whole heap of tries. That first one that we saw from Ethan Adams was absolutely insane. And they'll be looking to back it up with another bonus point victory over the Australians here. Now, I will mention this Aussie side, even though they were defeated by New Zealand, they had some strong moments. They had a decent-looking back line led by Finn McKay in their number 10 jersey alongside Angus Grover, but it is certainly going to take a monumental effort to beat South Africa on their home soil. But looking through at the starting lineups, starting with the South Africans, they've got a few changes along the way, but the starting front row is the same. It will be Kopeka as the number 1, Liam van Wyk and Danny Krier slotting in as the 3. No changes in the locking duo with Heinrich Theron and Riley Norton, the captain, slotting in as the number 5. Luke Cannon at 6. Then in the number 7 jersey, this is where we do see a change, is Viambawera, whose name I sometimes probably will say wrong throughout this live stream, so apologies for that. And then in the number 8 jersey, once again, it is Maaki. From there, it is Andre Skurman as the number 9 with Ahmed as the number 10. So no change there, and it is a combination that worked very nicely. The last game up against the Pumas, we see there Rasif Hanga out on the left wing, Ethan Adams in the midfield alongside Samuel Badenhurst. And then Jack Benardi, he managed to score a couple last week. And the change at 15, this is where we see Bokwana come into the starting side. For the Australians, they have also got a few changes along the way. Jacob Job in the front row alongside Ewald Krier and Edwin Langi. And then Will Ross and Isaac Fanua. They will once again make up the locking duo. Luca Cleverly gets the chance at 6. Tom Robinson moves from 6 to 7. And then Eli Langi, he will be there as the number 8. Angus Grover alongside Finn McKay as that 9 and 10. Taioni Tucker out on the left wing. In the midfield, it is Fittler and also Leo Jacques. And then Riley Whitfield and Louis Fenwick both keep their spots in the South African lineup. I will also mention there is a game taking place currently in the Champions Cup, ladies and gentlemen. That is Bordeaux versus Bath. We are going to be giving you updates along the way of that contest too. Should be a very intriguing one between the two sides. But do let me know who you think will be able to win this game, ladies and gentlemen. Can South Africa secure the Under-20 Rugby Championships right here and now by getting the bonus point victory over the Australians? Or is there still a chance that anyone can win it heading into the final round? I will mention last year, we did see South Africa get off to a flying start in their Under-20 Rugby Championship. They were able to beat the Argentines 36 points to 25. But this was the game that they let slip in the competition last season, and that is why they did lose the Under-20 Rugby Championships. They didn't get the victory over the Aussies, but they were able to redeem themselves a little bit in terms of the Under-20 champs. They did get the victory over Australia there, but also that game up against New Zealand, 48-45. I don't know whether or not we're looking at that type of scoreline, but we could certainly see a high-scoring one next week for the two teams as well. We have the high aims from Durban. Looking forward to some good commentary. I'm going for South Africa, winning with a bonus point. Says Brian there. And also 75-18 for the Junior Boks. That's kind of New Zealand-Argentina last year type of scoreline. And there as well. We have there introducing the least injected nation, green and gold. So who are you actually referring to, Juan Pierre, on that last one? Were you saying that New Zealand were the injected team? Because you said about how it was like the last 5 years that they've been more strict on it. But New Zealand won the last 2 years of the Junior Under-20 Championship, so I was confused by the comment. We have got there, so good to see you again. Must admit, I never watched an Under-20s game, so should be an eye-opener. You are in for a treat. I can tell you that right now. The Under-20s, there are times where defence does not exist, but that's what makes it so much fun. You see full field tries, you see the future generations. These young men, they will be the ones that in the near future will be playing in Rugby World Cup competitions. In fact, it's a bit early to guess, but, 2031, we could see a lot of these young players get their opportunity for their nations, and that's what makes it so much fun. No, not New Zealand, all nations. Just an observation, not a dig brew. Says Juan Pierre there. Yeah, because it's an interesting one. I think most of the juniors for a long time have been away from the needle because you get tested too often. You just can't take the risk. Because you get yourself a big ban and then you're gone. No side will sign you. We have got there. How's the weather? If we're talking about where Craig is, I'm not sure. But if you're talking about at the game, the sun's still out. She's shining beautifully. And go the box. And hello to everyone. Says Oki there. I'm watching from Osaka in Japan. Says Sensible. What time is it in Japan at the moment? Must be evening, right? About 8 p.m. somewhere around there. Unless my time zones are completely wrong, which they possibly are. Hi, Hamish and all. Give a like to this one. And Aussies being obliterated in the poll. Yeah, that poll is pretty one-sided. 93% are backing the South Africans to win this game. 1% have gone for the draw. And 7% have got the Australians being able to win this game. Like I mentioned last year, this was the contest that Australia were actually able to, believe it or not, beat the South Africans in. But this year, it could be a whole different story with the form that we saw from the South Africans in the first contest. They were clinical. They were very impressive. And Ethan James, like I said, that run, Ethan Adams. I always call him Ethan James, or at least I did last stream too. His run in the early stages of that game up against the Los Pumitas is probably the best individual try we're going to see in this competition. Look out for Fittler. Says Samuel there, and South Africa has a bad record. Says JP for testing for drugs. Yeah, although World Rugby are normally all over it. Why only 4 teams playing? Because it's a 4-team competition. It's the u20 Rugby Championship. The men's Rugby Championship only has 4 teams. So it's the junior version of that. The one that you're thinking of, Martin, is the u20 World Championship. That one's taking place in June. That involves all of the top sides around the world in the u20 setup. Ethan Adams are going to be playing 10-pin bowling today, says Super. Yeah, well, he played 5-pin bowling, didn't he, up against Argentina? Just went straight through everyone, over the top of them, round them as well. Is there a delay? There is not. This game kicks off at 2:10. The game of Bordeaux versus Bath is about to get underway, I believe. And watch out for Marcus Muller. Yeah, got himself the debut for the Stormers only a week or so ago. I still feel like they should have given him more game time. It was a little bit rough seeing him only get to make his way off the bench, and I don't even think he got a touch of the ball, or maybe one if he was lucky. But in this type of competition, he will be on fire when he gets game time, which hopefully, once again, will be more than 10 minutes off of the bench. Under 20 Boks have a game, and Port Elizabeth says Bruce there, and also we have got Riley Norton is exceptional. Followed him a while. He's relentless. He is a future... I hate jinxing young players because every time you make a big statement about one of them, normally something goes wrong. But he is a future Springbok captain, I believe, Riley Norton. The leadership that he's shown for this junior team, he just seems to have all of the tools, as well as the fact that he's a bloody good lock as well. It is a big bonus in that scenario. And come on, the Springboks win. New Zealand, my second team, doesn't want to win. Says Albertus there. And Henry Pollock is great, says Ruth. There's actually a guy who looks a little bit like Henry Pollock in the Australian lineup. That is Tom Robinson. But they are going to be singing the Australian national anthem. Then we are going to see South Africa sing theirs in front of a home crowd, which has been piling in. It's a good turnout for this matchup, which is fantastic to see. And like I said, Salisi Rayasi, as well as Bordeaux, they are in action. I don't know why I specifically ruled him out. He was on the screen at the time, but we will be giving updates on that contest. They are actually starting at around 2:10 as well, by the looks of it. They were supposed to kick off at 2, but they've still got a few more lineups to get through. Springboks by 30, says Josie Weber. So we'll ask the question, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen some pretty big score lines in favour of the South Africans. So, who's getting at least 2 tries in this game? I also agree, he's a super cricketer also. Yeah, he's literally got both covered, really. You're ignoring me, Hamish. I didn't mean to, Craig. Oh, there it is, Craig from St. Francis Bay. In there as well. But yeah, my apologies. It wasn't on purpose. There's just a few that I have already missed in the chat with how quick it is going. How can I watch the game for free? Sadly, there aren't too many free options for this competition. A lot of them are through paid subscriptions. Where you're watching live from, Hamish, nothing on Supersport. So for us here in New Zealand, it's on Sky Sport 4. Ethan Adams and Marcus Muller, the next Springbok centres. Yeah, the fact that they're both in the same setup at the same time is really exciting for South Africa. You know, we're getting towards, I wouldn't say it's the end of the Damien Dearlendy, Jesse Creel era. It's getting closer to the stage where those two maybe look to pass the torch to the younger generation, and that could be these two. I'd say, I think that Ethan Hook is in the mix somewhere, for now. But Ethan Hooker, Ethan Adams as a midfield combo as well could do relatively well. Esterhuizen, he's looking like more of the hybrid at the moment. He might not get many more minutes in that centre pairing rather than maybe in that loose forward trio. Rugby Pass might show the game. That list you can find online fast. Says one Biaboshi on the Junior Under-20 Championship website, or the main Rugby Championship website, I believe they put it on. What channel is it on? Sky Sport 4 for us here in New Zealand. And also Ethan Adams and Marcus Muller both get 2 tries today. Tell you what, to promise it is pretty bold, but I like it. A lot of confidence there. South African national anthem. Again, it's a great turnout for Burka for this one. Still doesn't quite sound right when I say it, but the fact that they can do it in front of the home crowd is also something that these young men will remember for a long time. The sad reality of rugby is, for some of these guys, under-20s international rugby could be as far as they make it. So you've got to cherish these moments. Some of the players of the past have always said that sometimes they were that focused on the rugby and forgot to enjoy the occasion. Calling Henry Pollock great as a stretch. He's a good player, that's about it. Says Johnny, he certainly gets under people's skins though, doesn't he? I have never seen in the past, I would say 15 years of rugby, a young player that has annoyed as many people as he has while also having as many fans as he does. It's almost like it's incredible, I find, the reaction from people on the other side of the world to Henry Pollock, who maybe don't even watch him play in the Premiership or anything along those lines. But the pure hatred they have for a young man that they've never met, I find extraordinary. But that just means he's playing the heel role right. You know, they have heels in the UFC, they have heels in the WWE. We've now got heels in rugby. Having a joint now, are going to enjoy a great game, says Martin. But this game just about to get underway. The national anthems have been sung. And the game between Bath and Bordeaux is just about to start as well. Now ready for the kick-off. South Africa. They will be going from right to left. Home field advantage. Can they do it this year? Bonus point victory here would secure the Rugby Championship already. So that is something that they will definitely be looking at as the potential, I guess, just feeling the trophy already. Ideal scenario, but the ball is out the back of the ruck for the Australians. Going to be controlled here. Edwin Langi has to play half. The big tight head prop. This is probably the right place to ask, but does rugby win to Ruby, or does rugby win to, or when does rugby win to fully start? For us here in New Zealand, it's already started the regular competitions, but probably I'd say within the next month you get towards feeling like you're playing in the middle of winter. Definitely in New Zealand, but yeah, I think that there's already a few players who are feeling the fact that maybe they didn't try hard enough in pre-season over here. I've heard some rumours of fatigue 5 minutes into a game. What channel are you watching it on? Sky Sport 4 for us here in New Zealand, but now going to be rolled back by Schoolman. He had a solid game last week up against the Argentines, chasing after this one, going up for it. Rasifanga. That one's going to go into touch. Henry Pollock is going to be a goat. He's got the goods. Henry Pollock is great to see his Martin there. Okay, referee was just getting asked whether or not there was a knock-on there by Rasifanga. To be fair, he got close to the ball, but I think that was just a play-on situation between the two sides. Bath versus Bordeaux has also got underway. They are 1 minute 20 through that contest. We'll keep you updated with scores in that regard. Not straight line out there from Liam van Wyk, so it will be the first scrum of the day for the Australians. A close game between these two sides last year. You'd have to say that the South African team looks... Well, the thing is, they look strong this year. Some would even argue they looked stronger last year, which is crazy to say when you consider the calibre of this team out there on the park currently. The fact that they have Marcus Muller as a guy that you can bring off the bench in this type of scenario. Bordeaux have already scored up against Bath 2 minutes into that game, ladies and gents. So they have started off with a hiss and a roar there. But yeah, just not straight in the line-out throw to Riley Norton. Where's the name? Hamish from Greek? I think it's Scottish, way down the line, but I don't know if I've got Scottish heritage. Like, people, I assume, would think that my name's like connected to some sort of thing, but I think my mum and dad said, oh, well, it looks like a Hamish, call him that. So that was about it. Marcus Muller, 2 tries, says Brian. Off the bench too would be impressive for that man, that is for sure. But the reset now is going to be called here. 1 second, we'll go like that. We'll go like that. Hampshire, the Scot, and in box by 39. It would be a solid showing if they were able to do so. But it would also, more than likely, secure the Under-20 Rugby Championship. So that will be the goal for South Africa. They will be well aware, because the thing is, these two sides are playing at the same location as New Zealand versus Argentina. So they've just seen New Zealand lose their game. And for South Africa here, they will know that, the win is crucial, but bonus point, the icing on the cake, if they can get that going too. Ball is going to be fed in here by the Australians, going to the short side. Not a lot of space to work with. Almost a 4-pass-2 into the hands of Taione Take out on the left wing, whereas this game is shown online. And in the UK, sadly, UK doesn't seem to have many options whatsoever. Which is a massive shame, because I mentioned about it earlier on. It would be great if they had this Rugby Championship competition more easily accessible. Because, without it being available around the world, this is the opportunity to get eyes on it before heading into that Junior Under-20 World Championship. 1 second, we're going to try not to break the scoreboard, but at the same time, we're going to try and fix it too. We'll go like this. Okay, that didn't work. We haven't got a scoreboard timer at the moment. Hopefully that does sort itself out in the future, but it is 0-0 between these two sides currently after 4 minutes of this matchup. How did the Pumas beat the ABs? Were the Pumas so good or ABs poor? The Pumas made 13 changes compared to their last match, and they've found their team. I think that team that they played up against New Zealand with today will play up against Australia next week, or later on in the week. Backline movement here for the Australians, again moving it on the outside to Leo Jacques. He had a good day at the office last game up against the New Zealanders, got himself a try. But yeah, the Pumas played well. New Zealand did play pretty poorly. They almost had a bit of a comeback, but didn't really get it going. What time is the match starting? We're 5 minutes in at the moment, and Australia and South Africa both sitting with the 0 on the board. The scoreboard doesn't seem to want to tell us the time, though, unfortunately. Your scoreboard, and whose scoreboard? It is an online scoreboard that I had to change a little bit. Here's average competition stiff. Oh, I thought Bordeaux just scored again there, but they were in the in-goal area rather than the opposition's. Now across to the right-hand side, bounce pass out Taione Take. He hasn't really received a good pass as of yet in this contest, but a lot of possession early on here for the Australians, kicking it in behind, looking for a 50-22. They do not get it and giving it straight into the hands of Ahmed. Will go for the high up and under, chasing after his own ball and doesn't get it on the first bounce. Slaps it back on the second. Ball claimed by the South Africans 40 metres out from the line. I'm confused at Australia's tactics there as to why they would go for a kick downfield. Kicked in behind now from South Africa. Retreating. Awkward bouncy ball. Sits up now on the outside. South Africa trying to keep the ball in the field to play a little bit of silky skills there from Benardi. And there is the advantage against Australia. It could be ruled as a deliberate knock-on. No, in fact, just the knock-on advantage. Schoolman, that's a high tackle from Australia. They'll go back for the penalty. We have got there the deliberate knock-on. So it does actually become a penalty rather than the scrum. A huge storm heading to Port Elizabeth on Tuesday evening. Well, hopefully it's all clear by Sunday, or Saturday, in fact, it would be, because that's when these two sides are going to be in action again. For Australia, they will be playing Argentina, and on the other side of the draw, it is New Zealand versus South Africa. What was a huge, thrilling contest last year when they played. It was a 93-point game, I believe. As Marcus Muller playing, he is but off the bench. Oh, Ethan Adams knocks that ball on. He's called for a clothesline on himself. And now a backline movement for Australia inside of their own in-goal area. Have to boot this ball downfield advantage over is the call. Now, just inside of their own half here, the Junior Boks trying to break the line with Jack Benardi. That man, you strap a rocket to him, he could be at the top of his game in the very near future. Coming to Australia, says Daniel. Now, tackle made again, just inside of the Aussie half. Bath have now just scored, ladies and gentlemen. That looks a bit like their big number 11. And it is Will Muir who has been able to score. So a close game. The Champions Cup department now looking for the steal and the breakdown. Where South Africa unable to do so. Australia have still got themselves the ball. Captain Tom Robinson hits it up again. And the Aussies have been told to use it around the back. Pass with class. It was. Made it look easier. It's definitely not an easy skill to do. Now, nice. Oh, big shot to the spine there of Rasifang. And the penalty goes the way of Australia for side entry. Where are they playing? They are playing in Burka. Not going through the gate. Ruling from the referee. Can't find it on Rugby Pass. Anyone have a link, says James? Unfortunately, I think it's only illegal streams that you can find in the UK for it, which once again is a massive shame, seeing as, you know, I know of a lot of people who would watch this overseas, even if they just had it geographically restricted for people outside of South Africa, New Zealand, Argentina, and South Africa to be able to watch on YouTube, on the World Rugby website. That would have been an easy way of getting extra eyes on the comp without losing out on any revenue that they weren't going to get anyway. But 8 minutes into this contest, 8 minutes into the other game, ladies and gents, that has taken place, Bordeaux versus Bath, it is 7-all between the two sides. Now breaking away off the back for Australia. They are 22 metres out from the opposition line. Attack and run from Eli Langi. I'm hoping as soon as there's a try in this game, although there won't be one for a while, as South Africa have just got themselves the steal in the breakdown. Just straight onto it. It was Marque. Does nicely. They're playing Port Elizabeth. Says Eddie Lickety Split, I should say. But now, kicking this one towards the touchline. Broadcasters don't care about fans, says Albert, but they care about money, and they could make some if they just think about it a little bit. Similar to what we see for Super Rugby. How outside of the ones who have the option of being able to watch it, they do actually have it that Super Rugby is shown in other countries on YouTube. They had 1,000 people watching a game the other day between two Australian sides. So, that's extra revenue for the Super Rugby comp that they weren't getting initially. Where can we watch the match in the UK, says Jason McBeth. Sadly, they don't have a lot of options other than the ones that are illegal. Also, if you've got a VPN, you can set yourself to maybe Stan Sport, but that is also subscription-based. Another high tackle from Australia. They've decided to play a little bit of old-school state of origin here up against the South Africans with how high their tackles are. Forward pass in the middle of the field. Looks like they are going to say play on just for now. And they'll now go back for the original advantage. 10 minutes into this contest, although the scoreboard's not giving us any hints in that department. Second one was over the shoulder. One second, we'll go like that. And no, that's that one. That one's that one. Seeing whether or not I can get it to behave itself and maybe have a scoreboard for the timing. Because currently we're 11 minutes in, and normally it would have it down the bottom, but for this one, for some reason, it does not. James try Flow Rugby for a feed. Fire Sports with Sky Sports 4. South Africa Rugby is just worried about money, if the supporter says Martin. Although I don't know whether or not they'd be in charge. I feel like it's down to the Sanzar side of things of actually organising it. And going, right, we've got all of these countries that want to watch these games that can't. What do we do about it? But that's the question that they obviously didn't go with. But then also exclusive rights hurt in terms of being able to show it elsewhere. There is an advantage for South Africa off the rolling maul. 22 metres out from the try line now. And Skurman goes away to the right-hand side and behind from Ethan Adams. I keep on calling him Eddie James. I don't even know who Eddie James is. I think he's a Welsh winger. Now going to the right-hand side. Running forward was Bokwana. Does get that started in the number 15 jersey rather than Felix, who did play last week. Australia again going a little bit high into the tackle. Now going away to the left for Danny Crea. Back right, 12 minutes into the contest, shuffling there, and they'll go back for the penalty. Oh, number one. Get himself into a little bit of trouble if he is not careful. Could end up going to the bin. Let's see, we go like that. We have there, it's PE, says Albert. As always, Port Elizabeth for me, guys. I just call it what I'm told it's called normally. So I was told it was Burka. They've said it Burka. I assume there's some sort of reasoning behind why everyone else. It's similar to Twickenham, isn't it? How everyone still calls it that, even though it's Allianz Stadium now. I'm going to refresh, see if that helps. That did not help. We'll try and get that sorted again on the scoreboard department. And our rolling ball here for the Australians, for the South Africans once again. They're looking to add some points onto the scoreboard. And now another advantage. This is going to get a little bit dangerous for the Australians if they keep on having it time and time again. Yellow for Australia soon. A lot of infringements. I think they'll get a warning anyway. Now backline movement. This has to be a try out wide. Benardi scores it in the corner. And that is the first try of the match now for the Junior Boks. And East London says I lollipop, but we will add that to the scoreboard, seeing as it is fully asleep for this one. But it is the first points of the day. We are 13 and a half minutes through this contest. What made you choose this match? It was just down to the fact that we're covering more of the Rugby Championship next week, as well as the fact that Bordeaux versus Bath. It was just down to the ones that we had covered in the past. Like the last game for South Africa that we covered of the Under-20 Rugby Championship had, I believe it was 9,000 more views than the one that we covered of the Champions Cup involving a French side. So it was just the one that seemed like the better choice. But 7-7 between those two sides. Hopefully it does go down to the wire there too. We will be able to give the updates all throughout. We're seeing two tries in that one, but that one has gone over from South Africa as well. Okay, they've done like a little bit of an adjustment, but that's good because I can now add a time. One second. I'm excited now. I can go like this. I can go like that. And I can go like that. There we go. All sorted. 7-0 in favour of South Africa after the 15 minutes. And Gilberka says Intel. And why do South African players look so much bigger than their opponents? What do they eat in Africa? Biltong and braai. I would say as the combination that's doing wonders there for the South African team. Too easy, says Josie. Difficult conversion kick, relatively, but he made it look easy. Straight down the middle. Oh, Bordeaux have just scored again. Looks like Lemouth was the man who got over. Oh no, in fact it may have been, was it Mofana? No, still waiting for the try. They've shown about 3 phases beforehand. Okay, it was Louis Bielbiere who did score for Bordeaux. That's normal. He scores in pretty much every single game. Really impressed how many people are there. It's actually a really good crowd. And the first round was well supported. South Africa getting themselves that victory over Argentina, I think has put more bums in seats for this round as well, which is, oh, that's high. Come on, Australia. Tackle a little bit lower here. The boys are going for their heads. Duck a little bit, I would say, is the advice you got to give this Wallabies team. And Scotland will buy Hamish for comms. Marv losing 2 says Big Rig. Yeah, 14-7 at the moment. Right, referee's given them a warning. I think by now it has to be close to a yellow because that's about the 3rd or 4th time they've tried to tackle South Africa round their head. And this one wasn't even close to being a low tackle. That's a yellow card in every adult game of rugby that we've seen. In every senior matchup that happened last night, Leinster versus Toulon, yep, they're going upstairs. This one is more serious than just a penalty. But I had some South African surnames in the New Zealand squad, not asking for sensation. I'm thinking maybe another Duplessis Karifi case, says Roger. So that was JD Van der Vesthuizen, and I think he's got a South African mother or father. They've already in yellow, Hamish. Says Big Rig, well, they're about to get another one. TMO incoming. This could be a rare card as well, by the way. This was heavy contact, high, and I don't think it has a lot going for it for the Australian player. Do any other countries have deeper depth in rugby than South Africa? Says Justice. It was probably one that gets argued a lot for a long time too, if anyone did say otherwise. I think South Africa players don't live long. What do you mean? I think some of them have lived long and happy lives. We have got there 3 high tackles and no card Australian privilege, says WLK. Well, the other 2 haven't been too bad to their credit. They've just been like an arm grabbing the neck or something. That one is bad, and that will definitely not go unpunished. Hello there, Hamish. Hello, everyone. See you, Sebastian. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing extremely well. They are just showing this one 15,000 times, but they should eventually come to the result, which is it's high, it's a collision, head on head. It's going to be at least yellow, if not red. That wasn't supposed to rhyme, but it did. Right. What have they worked out? Clearly head on head. They're upright. It's a hard collision too. He didn't hit him softly. He well and truly tried to smack him in the jawbone. There is foul play. Degree of danger high. Oh, we're not doing that, are we? I think they're going to go yellow card here, and I think that this Australian man should buy a lotto ticket because he's very lucky to only have a yellow card here, and it is due to the change of direction of the South African player. Tell you what, Australia will take that. They will take that every day of the week. A yellow card for something that we've seen be red time and time again. It's going to be Leo Jacques who makes his way from the field. Late change of direction. There wasn't really, and he was upright the whole time. Is there a better name for a prop than Rambo? It is a pretty good one, isn't it? But now, 10 minutes off the field for Australia, and that will not help their chances in this contest. 16 minutes into this game. South Africa from inside of their 22 will be able to kick that one into touch. He's lucky, says Albert Very. And Karefi's dad named him after Xbox captain, probably Mornay. Says Neil, he played up against him, didn't he? It named him after... I can't remember which South African player it was. It might have been No, it wouldn't have been Bismarck du Plessis, would it? Would have been before that time. Or would it? How old's Karefi? Yeah, it's a little while ago, actually. Never mind. I take that back. Change of direction. What rubbish? That's a straight red. Yeah, I don't think there was much of a change of direction. And the thing is, the Australian player was never going to hit him low. And it's almost the reality check Australia needed because they've just been too aggressive going high time and time again. There's an advantage now in favour of the Australians. That is for marker being offside. Now, trying to break the line here. Australia not working too badly for them with the run from Louis Fenwick. Man, disadvantage. Yanni du Plessis says Chris Airbender there. Now back across to the left-hand side again. White South African players go play for divergent countries to play international. In South Africa, it's difficult. Says Martin. And Karel du Plessis, a legend Bok. Says Albert. Now 18 minutes in Australia. Have got 9 minutes remaining of their yellow card. Pick and go there. Looking for the pass up, and they have managed to do it nicely. Now looking for the steal again. Boros is beating Buddy 14-7. And Bordeaux have just won a penalty 10 metres out from their try line too. So a good place to be able to get one. Now wait to the right. Driven backwards there for a start. And the ball cleanly stolen in the breakdown. I want to say that was Wazi Vyambuera. That one's going to be kicked downfield by Ahmed. Brilliant kick there. High cholesterol, absolutely no tie-up heart disease, says Bruce. And what does Ethan Adams eat for breakfast? He's an absolute beast. I hate to check his age on his passport. I tell you what, he probably has more than one breakfast, I would think, Ethan Adams, with the size of the bloke. He just runs through everyone, though, in front of him. The Wallabies are looking good. They actually had a really nice backline throughout that first match up against New Zealand. I felt like they were a little bit unlucky with the fact that they didn't win that game. And to honestly say it, they probably should have. New Zealand had that key period where they scored 3 tries in 4 minutes, and that kind of took the momentum away. Australia now with the ball in hand inside of their own half, 7-0 down after the first 18 minutes. I had breakfast with Yanni de Beer and a hometown in Namibia a few weeks ago. Springbok legend holds record for 5 drop goals in a single test versus England in the 1999 Rugby World Cup. Now looking for the steal on the breakdown after Bernardi runs it up to the halfway line. Now offload from the ground, keeping the ball alive. Here comes the run from Ethan Adams. Passes one more. Skip pass on the outside to Rasifanga, who cuts back inwards. Finds space, keeps on going, dragged down 10 metres short for the Junior Boks. Now great ball from it was their halfback. Skurman passes it on the inside to Wazi Vyambuera, and that is another try for the South African side. And it is a very solid bit of play from the South Africans there, just finding passes time and time again. And they are now only one try away from theoretically getting one step closer to the overall Junior Rugby Championship. It would be their first time winning it, believe it or not. This competition has been going 2 years. Both others were won by New Zealand. But that game up against the Kiwis next week, or next matchup, next round, may not even matter in terms of the overall outcome. The Junior Springboks are on fire, says WLK, and I can't wait to see Ethan with Marcus Miller, says WLK. And Yanni De Beer, really a legend. What was for breakfast? Steak, says Mill there. Another try for the Baby Boks. Sitting 20 minutes through in this contest, and that kick has gone over. It's going to now make the score 14 points to 0 in favour of the South Africans. Go, we say, says Martin. Yeah, just getting that nice inside ball. Wasi Viambuera, I should say. He did come into the starting lineup. It's one of the few changes that South Africa did decide to make. They've gone with consistency. Yanni De Beer is a legend. We grew up in the same small town, and he was my church leader for a while. So here's Albert. Kick off now from the halfway line. And just mentioning about the players who are still yet to return, Chiswell Euster being one of them. See Yaya as well, getting opportunities for the Sharks. Vegetables don't win scrums. So here's David now, backline movement. Here comes the run from Ethan Adams. He's got great acceleration for the man with the stature that he does, but the pass on the outside to Rasifanga. They're going to make it difficult for Australia with the one-man disadvantage, but their knock-on comes from South Africa. They are playing at a tempo that will be hard to match. I'm proud to say that these players are the future of South African rugby. See Wade there. Rasifanga with the ball on the inside. It was just then dropped in the next play. But again, Ethan Adams, he was just going. As soon as he got the ball in hand, the acceleration was almost unmatched. And you think Rassi will pick any of these youngsters for the up-and-coming box season? The Epps in South Africa is insane. I think maybe Chiswell Euster has a chance. I don't know if he'll go with any of these guys yet. He might chuck one of them in the squad, just similar to what he did for... who was that fellow who was playing in the South African... That wasn't the schoolboy rugby, the next league up, wasn't it? There was a fellow who got chucked in, who was one of the backs. But he never actually got to play a game. He got cut from the squad eventually. That is a penalty to South Africa at scrum time. Again, asserting that little bit more dominance. Ethan Adams has legs like tree trunks. Says Mill there. And yeah, trees shouldn't be able to move that quickly. Well, theoretically, trees should only move when they sway on the wind, but he is well and truly accelerating each time he gets that ball. Good start to the match. Got the box, says Yanev. Got the Springboks go big, says Martin there. Bodo is killing Bath. Are they? Currently, I see that Bath almost scored. I would have made the score more than likely 14-all. I don't know if I'd say they're killing them. It looks like it's relatively even at the moment. In fact, Finn Russell wanted to take a quick tap and score. And Marcus is the best chance because he played his first game with the Stormers. Says Wade, yeah, although Chiswell Eustace played a lot of matches for the Bulls throughout the season, he's actually become a starter for them, which I think makes it thoroughly impressive. Russi, we've got to remember, it's not far away from him selecting that team. So, Muller could be a fast stretch, but I think out of him or Euster, I think that Euster's probably the guy they'll chuck in. Euster, Muller, and Siaya will be in the back line come the World Cup, even Guillaume. Oh, so you're chucking out a few of your older players for the young guns in that regard, but not straight line out from South Africa. Unfortunately, Liam van Wyk, that is the second time he has thrown it not straight in this matchup. See a few of the boys who aren't playing in the stands watching on for this matchup. Currently, Bath are looking to try and score in their Champions Cup game up against Bordeaux. 25 minutes into that game, and it is currently 14-7. And the scoreline, Rassi gives Riley Norton a chance. Well, he, to be fair, is probably a decent shout too with the way that he's been playing. Definitely with the injuries in the locking department. Will Peter Steph Toy be ready for the English clash? I know he's injured. By the last report I got was he was going to be back in time for for the New Zealand tour. I'm not sure about the July matches. Another penalty goes the way of South Africa in the breakdown. Still 90 seconds remain of that Australian yellow card. Don't think so. They need another year or so, says Don Wilson. And Muller and Siaya is 18. How are they older? What do you mean, how are they older? And hi, mate, where are you watching this? So I am watching on Sky Sport 4 here in New Zealand. That is our broadcasting option. Not even a contest box are too good. Says Rugby Ready. Yeah, I mentioned about it earlier on. They are yet to win an under-20 Rugby Championship, which when you look through at their squads almost becomes unbelievable. But this year, all they need here is a bonus point win, and they would have it before even heading into that last game. Now, line out here for the South Africans, sitting about 15 metres out from the try line. Ball is in the hands of Liam van Wyk, or at least trying to get it. It doesn't look like it's actually going to get back to him yet. They're still rolling forward for the South Africans that are close to the try line. Penalty try, which brings another yellow card for the Australians. And it is now going to be awarded. Has a rugby team ever forfeited before? Australia should consider it right now. I don't think any player of any level has ever considered, when you get to that professional stage, you play the full 80. You don't just give up. When you come into South Africa, when I have better funds, I would say, for me to go to South Africa and do everything that I want to is probably going to cost me about 100,000 rand, if not more. So that's not in the equation for now. For Noah, he is going to make his way off the field with a yellow card, and they don't even have to take the kick here, South Africa, due to it being a penalty try. We actually saw one for Argentina in the earlier contest, and currently with the way that it sits, South Africa have secured a bonus point, kind of. I will enjoy the yellow cards and 60-point scoreline then, says Rugby Ready. Once again, professional athletes, they will be more than happy to play the 80 minutes. And we saw later on in that game last week, we saw Argentina get themselves a bit of a valiant comeback. Can you commentate more and chat a bit less, possibly? Though we love the chat too, says Mill. Normally, it depends on the game situation, I will say. I'll try my best to keep you updated a bit more. Bath have just scored in their game of the Champions Cup. Yeah, it's finding the happy medium, because some people get annoyed when I don't chat enough. Some people get annoyed when I don't commentate enough. So you can't really win either way, I've found. I don't think Bath got that try. Says cool story. Okay, South Africa says Martin, but Australia now with 13 men on the field. It's going to be kicked off by Finn McKay. He had a solid game up against New Zealand, even though on the team sheet it had him down as Tane Headmid, which was a bit of a mistake, but I have corrected it this time. Running it forward now was Viambuera. I keep chatting more. Says, listen. And also 21 points ahead, ouch. Yeah, doesn't help when you're 2 men down as well here. Another penalty against Australia. Tell you what, they're trying to get 3 men down, although they do have 1 man returning from the bin now. It's only 10k New Zealand. I love the fact that only is the word that's thrown in there, as if everyone's just got that chump change lying around and should be able to just pull it out of their pocket and go on a world trip. Now, going away to the left-hand side here, Ahmed does get it into touch. Awesome to see all those years of paying ref. Tax finally paying off. Go the Bok. Says Unts. How are we over there? Appreciate you, bud. Says Mill. Yeah, just that ball getting ripped away on the ground from Australia. I don't think it was completely on purpose. It just got tied up there with Luca cleverly. Line out here for Liam van Wyk. This one's going to be about 50 metres out. Do you have any commentary on the IPL? None at all. We did some of the World Cup. All stolen there by Australia, and that's fallen straight into the lap of Jacob Job. But yeah, I haven't even watched a game of the IPL this year, which is pretty poor from myself. That just is a really poor time zone for New Zealand to work with, sadly. On our way to the left-hand side, advantage in play for the Australians. This is exactly what they need. Some sort of ball in hand and some sort of momentum in their favour. Another knock on, but they'll go back for the penalty. Oh no, for the initial advantage. Oh no, in fact, it becomes a penalty. We have there who has scored so far. So far we have seen the try for Benadi. We've also seen it was Viambuera. And then Rasif Hanga, I think, got the other one. Could be wrong, though. Can't even remember who scored the first try of the match. Australia going to get beaten by Argentina too. Says Martin. Sorry, I'm using my voice to type. Didn't mean to call Brad that word. I was trying to say legend by South Africa accent, I guess, says Bram. And not looking good for the Wallabies. I don't even think your message came through, Bram, so it might have been stopped by YouTube, maybe. Who do you think will win Super Rugby? Hurricanes are looking strong, but I definitely wouldn't rule out Chiefs or Blues currently, or the defending champs. Now rolling ball here for the Australians, 25 metres out from the South African line. Another 6.5 minutes without their lock on the field, and Isaac Fanua can't really afford to give away any more penalties either, or else they would find themselves in a little bit of trouble. I'm back across to the left-hand side. Middle of the field. Just trying to make those little gains. Wide cut-out pass. Nicely done. McKay with the chip in behind, and the mark is called. And a penalty awarded to the Australians again. Are we over there? Bath is making a comeback. And yeah, they're currently 14-12 after 31 minutes. Close game in the Champions Cup currently. It's normally the way. If we don't cover a game, it does become very close. 30 minutes already passing. And this contest looks like a bit of an injury here for Benady. But he will definitely want to continue in this game. He's already scored once. Got the ability to score 2 as well. It might as well be 25 minutes they ain't scoring. Or sorry, 25 miles they ain't scoring. So here's Rugby ready. And now the Australians, they have only got 5 metres to the Bok line. We've seen some brilliant Bok goal line defence in the past. And try time for Ethan Adams. Says Martin. I mean, if they get an interception from here, he can well and truly go the full length of the field. But they haven't gone up for the for the challenge in the air. Rolling ball here for the Australians. It's going to be shut down by South Africa, who are driving it backwards. They've been told to use it once, and I think if Australia are strategic, they will do just that. Or else that ball would get stuck in there, and South Africa normally pretty good at getting those balls tied up, sitting about 10 metres out from the line now for Australia. Way to the right for Yuel Kriya. Left-hand side again. Looking for those steals in the breakdown. It's something they did so strong up against Argentina. It was every single chance to get the steal. They certainly did. Australia just going through the phases here. Angus Grover goes across to his big 6. Thought about going to the prop. Lost all momentum there. Edwin Lungi by the time he was able to carry the ball. Now McKay going across. Seller the dummy. He goes through, and he is looking world class in this under-20 Rugby Championship. Australia get their first try with 14 on the field. We'll add that one on. It should be a nice, easy conversion as well. Close enough to the post, but the Seller the dummy on the outside for Finn McKay. And each the score running away from the Aussies. They're going to lose. Good for South Africa. Australia's depth is not what it is, or not what it was. As Ezgill's story runs, yeah, although they've got a few handy guys in this setup, just selling the dummy well. And go the Springbok says Martin, a future of Ethan Hooker and Ethan Adams. As their future midfield looks scary for World Rugby. Are there any other Ethans out of South Africa? Because currently they seem to be very handy in terms of rugby ability. Because, yeah, that could be a dangerous midfield. It's kicked straight out in front of the post, goes over. Makes the score now 21 points to 7 in favour of the South Africans. Still another about 4 minutes remaining of being a man down 2 for Australia, so they can still get hurt. Pure luck. The adult box would have defended that. Well, this is the junior box, and they didn't. So the score is now 21 points to 7 still. Now ready to kick this one off. It is Ahmed. It's been solid off the kicking tee so far. 2 from 2, and then the third was the penalty try, so didn't have to go for that one drop ball there from Australia, but it has gone backwards, but it's South Africa still pouncing on it, managing to take it back. Almost an interception chance there for the Junior Wallabies. South Africa want to fire straight back with a try of their own. Rambo Kubeka goes on the outside. 3 men here for South Africa. Selling a dummy on the inside. Marke jumps over one of the Australian defenders, and there is the advantage in play against Australia again. If they're not careful, they might find themselves going to the bin again here. It'll be their 3rd yellow card. Now Ahmed, short side, gets it away to Liam van Wyk. Australia unable to get the turnover. And tell you what, that could be interesting. I think they've ruled it as a knock-on. They're calling it as potentially a deliberate knockdown from the Australia. They will have to check it. And time is off. The TMO is now going to be involved. Aussies have 1 try, says Ruth, or they may have just conceded 1 here too. Bordeaux have just scored with Maxime Luku, so they take the lead by 7 up against Bath. Okay, this sounds like it's going to be a deliberate knockdown, probably penalty try, yellow card territory for the Australians again, and they would be back down to 13 in this matchup. Good initial tackle there on Markey. The reason that wasn't the ball going the way of Australia was for, I believe, side entry. I'm going to review it now to see whether or not it is a deliberate knockdown. He didn't have a lot of time to react, the Australian player, which might be the one thing that goes in his favour. Try time South Africa, says Martin. And Hamish, 300 plus people watching you. We're going to see it now. Oh, tell you what, he's almost knocked it back there, the Aussie winger, Taione Taka. I think they need another angle here. Yeah, by the sounds of it, the referee said if that one could be clearly backwards of Taione Maka. I think I don't know what they're going to rule this as, to be fair. The consistency has been off in terms of some of the decisions. Just look at that red card earlier on, or what should have been a red card rather than the yellow for Australia. We're going to see the angle now from side on. Okay, forward onto Green's foot by the sounds of it. Okay, referee is trying to overrule TMO here. Referee saying he doesn't believe that ball has clearly gone forward. So he wants to be very sure, is his comment. And how are you keeping out of trouble? Relatively, I would say. It's currently almost 3 a.m., but what a way to spend a Monday morning watching a few games of rugby. Bath are down by 9 up against Bordeaux currently after 36 minutes. And this is a big call in this game. There is the hand in there. Okay, referee has now said it has travelled forward. Probable try would have been scored. This is sounding like penalty try, yellow card against the Australians. They will be back down to 13, although they are very good at league, so maybe that's the logic behind playing with 13 men on the field. Defending champions of the Rugby League World Cup. That is going to be taking place this year, ladies and gents. 11 gold. Taione Taka. He will make his way off. It will be great to see Fiji in this tournament. Fiji are in the Under-20 World Champs. And that is going to be taking place later on. But this is the junior version of the Rugby Championship, which does just have the 4 teams. So it's just the correct, or like the exact, like next level down for that one, if that makes sense. So I think the only way they add Fiji into this is if they added Fiji into the actual Rugby Championship. But the penalty try is awarded. They haven't quite got back to 14 men on the field yet. They are still going to be with 13 for that little bit longer. And this is going to be fatiguing for Australia too, but it is the penalty try. So we'll go like this, and we'll go like that. Of course, Bath are losing. They're my team, says Big Rig. And 28-7. Yeah, I think they kind of scored it anyway. By the looks at South Africa, Ahmed might be going over to the referee saying, look, I got that, but then it would have been a harder kick. Oh, controlled off the foot there for Ahmed. Some nice skills shown. And Roger here says a Ruth there. Now Scorman goes back across to the left-hand side to Viambuera. A lot of people thought it was the Under-20 World Cup, says Byron. Yeah, that has taken place in June, though. For anyone slightly confused about this one. So we got another month or so before that one takes place. We are going to be covering some of it on the channel. Kicked out on the full by South Africa. 90 seconds remain of the first yellow card return. Well, the second yellow card, I guess you could say. They already had the one earlier. Australia, their own worst enemy. They're loving poor discipline, which is definitely something that you don't want to be loving when you're playing a side that are expected to win the competition. Like a bit of an injury here for Rambo Quebeca. Might just be a bit of an eyeball situation here. Bit of something going in the eye, bit of grass, bit of dirt maybe. South Africa will win. If they lost from here, I'd be concerned. They should. The big question is, will they get their bonus point? 3 or more tries than their opposition would get them one. And if they do so, they would win this Rugby Championship competition without even having to play the next game. But they will still, of course, play it. And that would be up against New Zealand, the defending champs of the Under-20 Rugby Championship. Now going away to the right-hand side. All is there for the Aussies. There will be a few gaps in their defence, I would think, with 2 men sitting on chairs on the sideline. Nice tackle made by Viambuera. Another tackle close to the stealing opportunity. And no Bath hang on, says Gold Story. Yeah, looks like they are going to take another shot at the post here for Bordeaux before the end of the first half. Who predicted the score, Craig? There's a few who predicted a relatively high-scoring game in favour of the South Africans. Backline movement here for Australia. Beautiful draw and pass. They will get themselves another one. I mean, they don't seem like they're trying to give up some of these players, but their teammates have just been letting them down with the poor discipline. That one has gone in Australia's direction. Riley Whitfield, the man who manages to score at this time, with just a nice draw and pass on the outside. Strategic move. This to rake up some bucks. This under-20 Rugby Championship, seeing as there's no Senior Rugby Championship this year, which is a massive shame, isn't it? Like, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that it's a New Zealand versus South Africa tour, but last year's Rugby Championship was the best we have witnessed, almost, I would say, ever. There's South Africa falling asleep, being so far ahead, maybe a little bit. It did happen in their game last week up against Argentina, where they did have a second half where they actually scored less than the Argentines. That kick has actually missed, so we will take those extra 2 points away from the Australians. The score will be 28-12 rather than 28-14. They've got a man back from the bin too here, Australia. I've also mentioned that game between Bordeaux and Bath is 24-12 at half-time. South Africa fall. Oh no, I read that one. And pathetic defence is sensible. Yeah, there was just no one out there. Another penalty against South Africa. Quick tap taken by the Australians. Ethan Adams trying to line him up. What about looking for the steal on the breakdown? Australia is a disgrace, says Martin. I mean, their discipline has been in this game, but they've still played all right, to be fair to them. You know, scoring twice with 13 on the field isn't too shabby. And 2 men up, and we decide to kick it. Someone explain that. Says sensible. Yeah, kicked in a touch by the South Africans again. It does give Australia the line-out throw about 38 metres out from the Bok line. Currently 2.5 minutes remaining, and they have got someone back. The scores are bad, though. Says Rugby ready. The scores, as in, like, just in this regard, like, once again, 2 tries scored while you're playing a terrible half of rugby for the Aussies. I think they'd probably almost take the scoreline with the mistakes that they've made. They could have easily had it. We've got to remember, a red card early on. Dummies and Boks being out of place. Says Rugby ready. And that is one thing that normally does get criticised about the juniors, is the amount of mistakes defensively that sides make. But that's part of the fun. You know, you love seeing those highlight reel tries. For instance, like Ethan James's try. Or sorry, Ethan Adams. I keep on saying James. It's annoying me. But like his try up against Argentina doesn't happen if Argentina know how to tackle. You know, breaking through 5 tackles. Maybe you break through 2 or 3, but normally someone gets you eventually, don't they? But once again, that's under 20s at its finest. You know, 48 points to 45 was what the score was between New Zealand and South Africa last year, and what was one of the best Rugby Championship games and one of the best games of 2025 in general. It seems like teams are better with 13 men, like New Zealand previously. Maybe it upsets through to the defensive structures. Well, I guess, like I said, Australia are used to rugby league, and that is 13 on 13. Riley Norton talked to the team. I think this Boks under 20 could beat the main Aussie side. So here's Rugby ready. These Aussie boys just need some rice, mate. Now going away to the left-hand side. Australia breaking through the defence of South Africa with the offload there too. Wrestled down to ground, 40 metres out from the South African line. Already 39 minutes through this game. It has been absolutely motoring forward. Now the skip pass, but drop ball. And now counter-attacking chance here for South Africa. I would like to see them run this rather than kick it. And it looks like that is the plan that they're going to be going with. Ball out to Rasifanga, running down the wing. Ball on the inside. So many support runners, but not looking anywhere but the try line there for Luke Cannon. He's been dragged down, 10 out. Almost a knock-on from Skillman on the ground. Beautiful pickup from Teron. Passing it on, one more for Quebec. Numbers to the side, but Australia get the turnover. They're only a few metres out from their try line. I think they kick this into touch if they get the chance to. And you just call it a half. They are deep inside of the area. Yes, they do. That was a big mistake made by Luke Cannon. He wanted the glory of going himself. He had players in support. I believe one on the right, one on the left, but instead decided to ignore them has cost his side the try right at the end of the half. A ref is giving Bordeaux the game. How disappointing. Says Kahu. Yeah, see, I haven't been watching that one too closely. I just know the score at this stage being in favour of Bordeaux by 12, I believe it is, right? After they got themselves the three-pointer right at the end of the half. But halftime in this contest, it is 28 points to 12 in favour of the South Africans. Currently, they do not have the Rugby Championship won as of yet. There is still time, though. If they win this game by 3 or more tries, they are guaranteed the trophy before even heading into their game. Next matchup up against New Zealand. That one is not 9 days away. It is actually taking place in around 6 days now. And pretty much, yeah, almost 6 days minus about 40 minutes is roughly when that one's going to be taking place. And that is the second game of that day. Argentina versus Australia. It has taken place earlier on the Sunday. There's also URC taking place on that weekend too. That South Africa-New Zealand game overlaps with Sharks versus Benetton, but due to both of those sides being out of the top 8 and out of contention of the top 8 in the URC, we are 100% covering that South Africa versus New Zealand matchup when it does occur. Try time for the Boks, says Martin. It should have been. It really, all it needed was one pass from Luke Cannon. But once again, that is down to the fact that some of these junior players, either you're trying to make a name for yourself or you just forget to look to your teammates. You've got to save time and just giving the Boks the trophy at the start. Says Rugby Ready. Well, they probably were a little bit hesitant doing that, seeing as they've never won this trophy before. But with the squad that they've got, the home field advantage, anything but a Bok Rugby Championship here would be an utter surprise. And I think it has been that way since the start of the comp. Hope Marcus comes on second half. Hopefully he gets more time than he did for the Stormers. Stormers only given him, like I said, about that 10 minutes at the end of the match, and I don't even think he got a carry, or maybe one in that time. What are you having for breakfast, says Ruth? I'll probably have an up and go, I would say. We're pouring concrete in around 5 hours' time. So I don't even know. I'll probably try and sleep for maybe 3 hours after the stream, then get back up and get ready to pour. But she's going to be a bit of a weird day, purely because of the half all night beforehand. Pumping waters, says Martin there. And we have got their bath needs Henry Pollock, says Ruth. Maybe not. I think that they just need maybe a little bit of luck from the second half up against Bordeaux. I'm surprised at how many seats are empty for a home game in Bordeaux, though. On this near side, it's strategic from the camera because you kind of hide it. It's not what you've done in the past, it's what you've done lately, and the Boks have dog-walked everyone. They're number one. Quite an interesting mindset. You and Martin are very similar, because Martin did say last year's results don't count, or any previous results for that matter. So I guess the now is the important and the future is the other side of things. I asked him about the under-20 championship last year, won by the Boks, but that one does, I guess, count, just not the rugby championship. Interesting logic. I'm slowly getting my head around it, but it takes a little bit to understand which games count, which games don't. What does your mates chat to you about? Our work game is rugby? No, not really. Well, for work-wise, it's just me and my dad. So we'll just probably talk about what we normally would talk about, which isn't really a lot of rugby. He's gone off the rugby side of things a little bit recently. Well, not even just recently, probably the last maybe 4 years or so. Just feels like the referees are far too involved now, and the outcomes of games are normally determined by unfortunately poor calls. He's grown up in that old school era where everything just kept on playing out. You could have a punch up in the middle of the field, a referee goes, don't do that again, and they go, okay, sorry, and then they just keep on playing. Aussie won the World Cup 30 years ago. It means they're not the champions. South Africa are. Says Rugby Ready. So does that mean currently New Zealand are the champions of the under-20s until South Africa take it off them? Or is it at the start of a competition you cancel out the previous champion? And can anyone confirm the result of today's South Africa game between Pumas and Poland? Was it a 0-0 draw? I thought I saw someone get 7 points in that game. I think the Pumas had 7, did they? Sounds like you and Pops got your own construction business. Well, he has the business. I just work for him occasionally. Normally when it's the fun jobs like pouring concrete and all that sort of thing, underfloor insulation. But pouring a retaining wall. Yes, New Zealand are reigning champions, but only for 40 minutes. Says Rugby Ready. Yeah. Okay, so as soon as the Rugby World Cup starts next year, South Africa are no longer the champions because someone else will be sitting top of a table? Or does that's not how it works? I'm working it out. I think I'm slowly getting the hang of it. But they're just showing the tries in the first half there. Oasi Viambuera came into the starting lineup. Managed to get himself the try. There were a few switches for South Africa across this lineup. They stuck with the same tight five who did very nicely throughout the last competition or last matchup up against the Argentines. There was the change in the 7 jersey and then also the change at 15 with Bokwana coming in. And Rasifange, he's had a good game out on the left wing side. Second half could be a different ball game, Hamish. Says Ruth. Well, for Australia, having more people on the field would help, I think. My point is being great years ago doesn't match up for being great now. Okay. I will bite the tongue. We have got there, where is the Under-20s World Cup? We have got there, love your sarcasm for silly comments, says Roger. But the Under-20 World Cup's taking place in Georgia, who are going to be the hosts. I think they're the hosts anyway. It's either Georgia or I think last year's one was Spain, wasn't it? And this year's one is Georgia. So making its way around Europe as we speak. Riley Whitfield able to score the try. At the end of that first half, Australia having a couple decent moments on attack, just nowhere near enough to be able to compete here. But currently, South Africa do not have that bonus point. Believe it or not, that stat surprises me. Australia only made 20 tackles in that first half. South Africa made 56. We mentioned about Australia how they would be more fatigued from having the 13 men on the field. But that's surprising, that stat. Feels like South Africa have had a lot more of the ball. South Africa champions until someone else lifts the trophy, says Brahm. Because I don't think they'll let South Africa lift the trophy after this game. They'll make them wait till they play New Zealand before they're able to, even if there is no mathematical chance of anyone else being able to catch them. 20 tackles, because like 4 of them were high. And yes, we are dominating. Says Haino. Yeah, they've done well here. Australia, their key to success is to try and play with more than 14. And the key for success for the Boks is just get that ball in hand, move it round the backs like they have been. They've had 4 handy tries already, but they want their bonus point. Whereas the Under-20 World Cup, once again, Georgia is when it's going to be taking place. And after today, we have won the competition. Says Haino, if they get the bonus point, I believe. And what station can I watch this? So for us here in New Zealand, it's on Sky Sport. In terms of, for Australia, it's Stan Sport. And South Africa, it is supposed to be on Super Sport, although someone said earlier on that they couldn't actually find the game on there. But hopefully they were able to do so eventually. I assume they'd sneak it somewhere. South Africa Juniors dominating as well. Series 4 for the rest of the world, says Geza. And I mean, 16 points isn't insurmountable. It's a tricky word, isn't it? But yeah, you're right. Like, it shouldn't be possible for Australia to come back into this, theoretically. From what we've seen in the first half, South Africa, they were in control in some big moments, and they are very clinical on attack. But we've seen weirder things happen in an under-20 game. So it should be over, but you just don't know. So many yellow cards. Yeah, so far, is it 3 or 4 for Australia yellow card wise? Must be 3, right? They haven't quite reached the 4 stage. They had that first one early on of Leo Jacques. Then they had Isaac Fanua. Then they had Taoni Taka. I think that's the 3 that they've had. Well, Stellan was Georgian, says Geza. 3, but the ref refused to give reds, says Rugby Ready. Well, the only one that I believe should have been a red was that first high shot. Baby Boks are strong, says Gregory. But yeah, I think that one in any game around the world normally is a red card. And I'm not sure why it was only a yellow. Well, the referee said there was a change of direction, but there wasn't much really. I think it's 20-minute reds in juniors too, right? So they would have still probably been at 13 men for a while and then been able to make that change off the bench. But I have to say, Leo Jacques is someone that the Australians will definitely want. with this trophy specifically, then technically New Zealand are still champions until somebody else lifts the trophy, says Bram. And why did Riley Norton want a drop goal? Want a drop goal? I know that. When did that happen in the first half? Oh, I must have been looking away at that stage. Thanks for all your dedication. A very good show, Amish. There's Johan. Well, New Zealand used to be part of England. So let's not blame countries for their past. And the Under-20 World Cup looks like it's between South Africa and France at the minute. Cheers, Geza. The drop out. New Zealand are technically champions until the Boks win this game. Says Rugby Ready with a bonus. I think they need the bonus point. The tiebreakers in the Rugby Championship Juniors, is it head-to-head or is it that they go for points differential? Hang on. We can find this out. Where are we? Oh, I've got an ad. That's annoying. 1 second. We've got to wait for it to load. These two sides won't be far away from making their way out onto the field, though, for the second half. This is a long ad with no X in the corner. Oh, there's a close button. I am half blind. Right. Tables. Tiebreakers. Wins. Oh, no, it's head-to-head wins. So theoretically, Argentina, even if they were to win their next game up against Australia with a bonus point, it would still mean that South Africa, because of beating Argentina, would take out the title. Fun fact. And then it is points difference, which I don't think will come into play. We have got their, but they're not champions in terms skill right now. Just on paper until the dorks finish writing stuff down. Says Rugby Ready. Okay, future Wallaby. I agree. He's looked really solid at 10 throughout the matches. Looks like Bath versus Bordeaux has got back underway as well. South Africa, please focus and win with the bonus point. They don't actually need it now, though. We've got the correction, which is because they got 5 points from their first game, they just need a win by the tiebreakers. So, yeah, 1 point would be enough. And that would do it. Oh, mistake made there. Just out from their own goal line for South Africa, but ball back in play. 1 second, we'll go like this, and we'll go like that. And we'll go like... Oh, okay, they've actually just said that Finn Mackay hasn't emerged from the tunnel, so that's not good for Australia. He was probably their one hope. And a knock-on from South Africa just out from their own goal line. How many teams in the Under-20 World Cup? I think it's 14, 16. I think it might be 16. Right after being dominated in the first official WR or Women's Rugby World Cup, says Big Rick. I'm very impressed by Australia, says WLK. Bath versus Bordeaux is shaping up nicely. You're currently the lead of 12 for Bordeaux. I'd say if they get one more, they probably win that game by a decent margin. But, oh, tell you what, there's hit on here between Maxime Luku and one of the big forwards. Good afternoon. How are you, Hamish? Did Argentina win? They certainly did by 8 points too. So they managed to... That's the thing. If New Zealand had got a bonus point, then technically there could have still been a chance that whoever won that South Africa-New Zealand game would have been the champions. But that is not the case here. If Bordeaux win, is it a bloodbath? Get it, red wine? I do, yes. Liverpool are losing badly, says Jaden. What's badly in football? Is that like 2-0 or maybe a bit more? Usually 12 teams in the under-20s. Is there only 12? Oh, yeah, 3 groups of 4, isn't it? Rather than 4 groups of 4. Now charging forward. The run there from Fittler trying to get the steal in the breakdown. Were South Africa unable to do so. Now, Luca cleverly still down a man for the next about 5 minutes or so here for the Australians. Bordeaux wins, says cross-boarding. Now pick and go, getting close, offload up there. Fanua is going to be 1 metre short. Trying to get that ball back for Australia. And now 1 metre again from the goal line. Much better defence from South Africa than they have had at times throughout that first half. There's an advantage though for offside. Now backline movement for the Australians. Passing it on one more through the middle. And they drop the ball out wide. They'll go back for the advantage and the penalty. That was poor out wide though from a man who scored not too long ago, Riley Whitfield. I'm all like Liverpool. 2-0 to Man United, says Geza. Bordeaux in the final. Sorry, Bath. Why don't you take a bath and wash? Says cross-boarding. But this one should have really been finished by Australia. Just needed to catch the ball, but it was maybe if you were being critical, slightly behind him to catch it, but still would have liked to take that one 9 times out of 10. Looks like Australia are going for a quick tap now. They're only going to be 5 metres out from the line. Low pass. Picked up well by Luca, cleverly looking short side. That's a poor pass again from the Aussies. Lung, he's going to be held up in the in-goal area. It's going to be hard to get that one down. And it's a goal line dropout now for the South Africans. They're fired up with that one, but it started with the poor pass from Angus Glover. Just made him catch it round his bootlaces. Then from there, when the big man stood up, he already had Boks in his face. And Sheriff Above, but it's looking rough. Thanks, Hamish, says Martin. Hamish, do you know Cat 4? No, I don't know what that is. Or Bordeaux looking like they're getting a back line. No, they've thrown it away. It looks like 2 France versus Ireland finals in the European Cups. Says gets a goal line dropout here for Ahmed. Looks to get it down towards the halfway line. Australia, that was their big chance to get a good start in the second half. Now running it back. A big collision there. And off the feet. And again, a penalty. Going to be awarded in favour of the Australians. Can Barstow win? Technically, yes. They've still got 36 minutes to score 13 points. And New Zealand, Australia now Bath. Today is a sad day for the Commonwealth. Cheers, Big Rick. Bordeaux too strong. You're the one guy who will walk into a random house and then start talking. I don't think so. I think, for one, I wouldn't just walk into a random house. But outside of streams, I don't talk a lot. I'm normally saving my voice for the weekends. Penalties conceded, 7 against Australia, 3 of which they have received yellow cards for, 6 against South Africa. They won't be a mile away from maybe a bit of a warning on their side of the equation, just for repeat infringements inside of their own half. But worst case scenario, they maybe get 1 yellow, I think. Stolen at the line out, beautifully done by was Teron. Taken back by South Africa, so this one cannot go out on the full, but it doesn't look like they're going for a kick. Instead, they are going to try and run this one out from their own half. Good low tackle made by Luca cleverly, who's getting more involved now. That one's taken outside of their 22 as well, but not looking to find touch. Ball sits up for the 15. Now, that's a high up and under. That one's got to take a long time for this ball to come down. It's hard to line up, and it's knocked on by Australia. So scrum feed for the South Africans. I always found it odd in RPG games where you can just walk into people's homes, steal their stuff. No one seemed to care. Says Big Rick. Oh, that's a knock on, isn't it? Big one. But that was a huge kick up high. I don't know how high that one would have gone, but it probably would have hit the roof at Takaha Stadium. Well, one New Zealand stadium, and in Christchurch, the new one, probably Forsyth Bar too. The amount of height that he put on. Arthur still hanging in there in their Champions Cup fixture, currently down by the 12 points. We will be covering the Champions Cup final on the channel. Handling error 6 from South Africa compared to the 4 of the Australians. And now Australia back to 15. Gunnar says Jaden. Oh, we have there in Final Fantasy 4. Flat out says you found the grandmother's life savings of 9 Jill. I felt so guilty, says Big Rick. That is going to be the penalty against Australia in the scrum again. Nice work from Dunny Kriya up the front. Where's Australia and South Africa? As in on the table or geographically? Well, that is a good kick downfield from Ahmed too. When I burp, I feel like I'm saying South Africa. What? You burp. That's a long burp and a 2-parter too. Where's the ball and where is it? It is now 20 metres out from the line after South Africa won the penalty on the halfway line, kicked it into the 22 and now have themselves the chance at a rolling maul. How has Adam been playing? He's actually been kind of quiet. Like, he's had a couple big runs early, but they haven't had a lot of the ball, South Africa. Believe it or not, even though they're up 28 points to 12. But this second half, they can get it into his hands here inside of the 22. Probably going to go a long way. It was potentially knocked on, but I think it's ruled as backwards now. Pick and go there. South Africa only a couple metres out from the line with Liam van Wyk. Chance to score try number 5 here. Looking for the ball was Schoeman. Going back across to Kriya. Oh, that one's knocked on the ground. Australia managing to take the ball back 5 metres out from their own line. And they will kick this one downfield with Angus Glover looking for the sideline. And it's a decent enough kick outside of the 22. The trolls are out from under the bridge, says Neil. Who's that in reference to? I assume Jaden, maybe. It's really exciting commentary, not to mention the comments, says Ruth. 48 minutes through. Right, no knock on is the call there from the referee from that original situation. So, and we play on. On a hell for Liam van Wyk. Isn't that the best day in terms of accuracy of that line out? But as a whole, when they do get that ball in right, they do roll and drive very hard. Someone falling over there. I think it was Danny Creer. Going to be on the ball, play on. About 22 metres out from the line, the captain, Riley Norton. Now away to the right again. Nice flat ball to James. That looked a bit high from Tom Robinson, although that has been the summary of the Australian day when it comes to tackling. They love going around the neck and head. The Boks can't slow down against the Aussies. They might fight like they did in the first half, says Yanev. Now that one's knocked on by South Africa again. Away to the right-hand side, bit of space for Australia, but they have opted to go for the boot downfield from Fowler. Looking for a 50-22, but it bounces back infield. Back there covering is Ahmed. Now running hard and trying to bump off the Australian defender and Zach Fitlin. Another drop ball. That's a seatbelt tackle by the looks of it from Australia, but they're going to hold him up, turn it into a rolling maul. Oh no, now it's not called as a maul. Referee says to release. When you shower, what things should you use to prevent hair loss? If you shower every day, there's like certain shampoos you can use, isn't there? So I'd recommend one of those. You definitely shouldn't get random advice when it comes to doctors' information from a YouTuber. I'd guarantee you that. Ethan Adams now showing why Rassi is not interested in him. They don't perform against weak teams. I wouldn't say he's not before. He's had a couple good runs. He just hasn't touched the ball much. Knock on there from Australia in the breakdown. It's the ball with South Africa. Now it is because of the scrum. Knock on from the Aussies. Currently 16 points separating these two sides. Do you know Cringe 67 meme? No. If it's a TikTok thing, I don't have TikTok, so I wouldn't know. And just go the Boks try time now. Looks like a bit of an injury here for Rambo Quebec. I don't think they'll be too far off replacing the front row anyway here. 30 minutes remaining, and it is a comfortable game for the South Africans. We have since doing a little bit of the maths and research. They don't even need to win with a bonus point to guarantee the Rugby Championship. They just need to win here. Wait, no. No, I take that back. They do need the bonus point. I've done the maths again. If they lost to New Zealand and New Zealand got a bonus point, then New Zealand would win the Rugby Championship if they don't get a bonus point here. Attendance, 9,576. Pretty decent for this Under-20 Rugby Championship, and I'm sure there will be plenty in attendance next week too. So we were right initially that the bonus point is required if they want to win it now rather than playing and winning that next game up against the Kiwis. I forgot to return greetings. Good afternoon and early evening to you. I sent my first message to you before receiving your message. Says Brian, Argentine referee. I don't think we want to go down that path because South African TMO in that New Zealand-Argentina game, and there was a pretty controversial call in that one. So we won't go there. Now, this one's going to be a scrum feed here for the South Africans. Andre Skuman. Again, showing why he is a very handy option, and that scrum is huge from the Boks again. They will get another penalty in this department, and it's probably not a mile away from a warning in terms of Australia's scrum. And Uncle Bath scored, says Mohadeen. Yeah, they did. They're back in that game. Around the same amount of time remaining as we do have in this one, but after the South African penalty, they do kick that one into touch. 1 second, we'll update there. And we would go like that. Maybe we need neutral refs like Japanese or Canadian, says Rugby Ready, or we just assume that these guys are professionals and are refereeing because of being qualified to do the job. Which is normally about the last thing that people try and say about the refs, but really it should be the first because, like, at the end of the day, referees like the players. Nice step there from Ethan Adams. He cuts through the Aussie defence. And that is his try of the day. Rassi's radar will be pinging there after a run like that for the number 12. Oh, well, he didn't touch the ball too much throughout the last 30 minutes, but as soon as he does, look at that. He goes straight through. Hamish, did you unlock your Discord? Nah, it's still all locked and still restricted. Swiss ref says Martin there. And a great run forward from Ethan Adams there, just stepping off the foot, carving through. And hardly got a finger on him, the Aussies. And nice. And Aussie, thanks, Ethan. Says Josie there. Why are the South Africans team so dominant at scrum time? Is it just poorly strength or skill as well? It's definitely a skill for the way that the South Africans scrummage. They probably, I would say that, see, the problem is anything I say now, people will go, oh, that sounds like an excuse. But I think that for a lot of the South African teams, the scrum is the real focal point, and that is something that gets trained. Like, I would say some of these teams train scrums more than other play. And that's just part of that, South African DNA in terms of physicality in the forwards and just have I done all right, or have I got myself shot in the foot here by saying that they do practice the scrums? No, I agree with you, Hamish, says Yanev. And did Ethan score? He certainly did. What did I tell you, Hamish? Ethan Adams says super there. Yep. Going to be a line out here for the Australians. They are down 35 points to 12. Now, nicely taken. And it's going to be knocked on, though, by the Australians at line-out time. Kicked in behind. This is going to become a bit of a foot race here. Australia having to retreat back inside of their 22. We have the South African. He said the right thing, Hamish. I agree with you. Says Yanev now. Backline movement here for Australia. Big old fin there. Who was that? That was Leo Jakes. Now, counter ruck from the South Africans. They take it straight back there with Liam van der Wyk. And Hamish, scrummaging a part of DNA embedded from Junior Schoolboy Rugby in South Africa. And Bath like to come from the back. Says Mohadin, although Bordeaux now running it out wide to Louis Bielbiaré. They're trying to score themselves another one. Hopefully that game finishes close. It would be best case scenario. Now, nice hands from Ethan Adams. Goes to his teammate in Buttonhorst to, again, I'm going to jinx it, and he's probably going to score now that I say this. He hasn't touched the ball much throughout this game. But Marcus Muller waiting patiently for his chance to make his way off of the bench. He's going to have to wait just that little bit longer. Any replacements yet for the Boks? Not a huge amount of them. Other than the front row, I believe we've seen the changes in the props. Everyone else, though, to me at the moment, looks the same. I'm not seeing any other numbers other than 17 and 18 as changes. The forward set piece and scrums of South Africa's rugby aircraft carrier. You don't find Hamish, but quit while you're ahead. Says Neil. And that is going to be the penalty on the way of the Australians. Skipper there, Riley Norton. In the breakdown. In the tackle. Do you think 50? Maybe. They should do, I would say, for the South African team. Aircraft carrier says Rugby ready. So I believe the comparison there is he's referencing that's like the big base. The big old foundation. A lot of pundits say the Boks play boring rugby because of their forward dominance. What's your view? Says Justice. That sounds like a weighted question to try and get me in trouble, doesn't it? I mean, if they don't enjoy the forward dominance of the Boks, try and stop them. It's the same as the scrums. If they don't like the fact that South Africa do dominate the scrums, try and get a better scrum. That's the way I look at it anyway. Every side's going to have their unique things that they're better at. Some sides are better with their backs. Some sides are better with their forwards. Some sides are specialists in lineouts. Some are specialists in scrums. Some are specialists in kicking. But that's the thing that makes rugby so entertaining, is the fact that you're literally playing chess matches of different tactics and different styles every single game you go to the field. The Bath score again. At the moment, they're 24-19 down. Looks like another change is being made here. Will be Marquet making his way off. I always remember the Beyblade anime, the military helicopters fired Beyblades instead of bullets. Correct answer, get a bit of scrum. And come on, Boks score now, please. Well said, Hamish says, listen, Springbok scrum is a thing of beauty. And almost a UBB score. Yeah, very close. It looks like it was Jalabert who did knock it on in the end. Hamish Watson still playing for Scotland. I don't know where that man is. I assume he's injured because I haven't even seen him in like the URC or anything recently. But the Boks are better at everything, so what do you mean, says Justice, and there's always one, isn't there? Time left, says Roger. At the moment, still 24 minutes remaining. 1 second, we'll go like this. And we'll go like that as well. We have there, funny you mentioned specialist players. Have you followed any other cricket substitution controversy? No. Is that the stuff where you're allowed to switch guys in and out in like T20s? Hamish Watson must be retired by now. How many tries do the Springboks need? They need, I think they're all right at the moment. They just need this scoreline. They need to stop Australia from getting another one, but they have got another penalty advantage here. The Junior Boks, Riley Norton. Tackled about 45 metres out from his own line. Bowler got injured and they tried to substitute him. The umpire said no because the bowler was a rookie. The sub was a veteran. Oh, okay. When do you watch the match? So it is on Sky Sport here in New Zealand. DSTV in South Africa. Stan Sport in Australia and a chip in behind. Here from the South African winger. Awkward bouncing ball, but really nicely taken in the end. But Jonty Fowler, who had a bit of a slip while he was trying to regather that ball. At least the semi is close. Says Cool Ranch. It normally is when we don't cover a game. Just look at Reds versus Brumbies. Look at Western Force versus Waratahs. And next year, the Junior Springboks will be better. Schoolboy talent I saw this year is unbelievable. No one's going to be put into touch. Hamish always diplomatic in questions that will open a big online debate. Says Brian, other countries complain about South Africa's big man forward power because they are small Caucasian weaklings. Says Vonberg. All the games played at the same venue? Yes. So this is the second year in a row that South Africa have hosted this Junior Under-20 Championship. I would like to think they'll go somewhere else next year. Nothing against this location, but like it seems weird to have 4 teams but only play at 2 different countries' locations. We have you there, nice Ethan. I just need to talk to you. Then that happens. Now rolling maul here again for the South Africans. 15 metres out from the try line. Pick and go on the short side. Scorman. That's poor defence from Australia. They let him walk it through. And it's the 6th try now for this Junior Boks team. Yeah, that Australian defence fell apart a bit there. I mentioned how they only made 20 tackles in the first half. Maybe that's why. We have got there, saw a video about all the rugby scouts from Europe at Craven Week. And even at the top rugby schools every year. And also we have got there, so they had to call up a guy from the B team 190 miles away to drive up in the middle of the game to join in. Just because he's also inexperienced. Did he bowl all right, the guy who got brought in? I actually prefer having the bath on the TV and you updated the Springbok game. Says, cool story. I guess you got the best of both worlds then. In that regard, but 59 minutes through this contest, a kick to come here for Ahmed. Where do Blitzboks sit? Blitzboks are currently sitting number 1 with 2 championship leagues to go. The next one taking place in 3 weeks' time. That one for Yakin Ahmed has gone over 2, so making the score now 42-12 in favour of the Junior Boks. Currently 20 minutes remaining on the clock. There we go. And we were told in Super Rugby that travel doesn't matter. Why mention it? Says WLK. As in, why did I mention it? That's the thing. It depends on who you talk to, though. Most sides would agree that travel is something that hurts you, whether that's a South African side going to New Zealand or a New Zealand side going to South Africa. I scored the try. In the end, it was the try scored by Jandre Schuurman. He just pretty much broke off the back of a rolling maul, looked at the Australians, and they just cleared the path, and he went straight through and scored the try. How's Bokwana going? Junior Boks fullback? He's gone all right. I don't think he's made many mistakes from the 15 jersey. And this contest came in for Felix from that last game. It will be interesting to actually see what direction they go for the third match up against the Kiwis. I think they might go Bokwana again. Unless, of course, it's a quick turnaround, only 6 days. Playing in my hometown last week. This week, couldn't attend this week though, says Roz. I made it look easy, says Albert. Almost too easy with the fact that they just, like for a halfback to break through in that manner, normally something's gone wrong defensively. Nothing against like halfbacks, but normally they aren't known for their pure, like big, broad kind of size. They're normally the snappier, quick stepping fellows that talk non-stop. Referees absolutely love a halfback. I was confusing Luke Watson for Hamish Watson. Sorry, Hamish. As I believe somewhere in the URC. How's Ethan Adams doing? He started the match well, had a quiet patch, and then went out and got himself another highlight reel try in the second half. I want a 70 burger on these Aussies. And Aussies South African teams that double the travel of New Zealand Australia teams when it comes to time zones. Says WLK, and so thank goodness for you, Hamish. I can go to your channel, says Ross. We have got the game taking place between South Africa and New Zealand on Sunday. Now, that one will not determine the Rugby Championship if the scoreline stays the way that it is here. Overthrown ball and picked up by South Africa at the back. So another mistake in the Australian line-out, although brilliant steal on the breakdown. Getting in lightning quick was the Aussie number 19, Kenneth Harris. He was confused there after he won the penalty. He said, what happened? What happened was you got over the ball and got your team the steal. Maybe he thought he got penalised in that scenario. There's some severe weather reports for Port Elizabeth later this week. Is it for Saturday as well, or is it someone said it's coming on about Tuesday or Wednesday, right? Is your Queen still on? He is, yes. Or at least he was the last time that I spotted him. We have got the Boks are on fire. I can go back to sleep now. Ethan Adams must be over 100 kg, says Justice. The only thing that would stop him from being over 100 would be the height factor, I would say. But yeah, he's a solid fellow. It would have to be really close to that triple figure mark. And I hope the Lions play Ethan Adams at 12 in the URC next season. Oh, is he a Lions man? That's a big player to have for them. So they got at the moment in the midfield. They've got Hinko. Got Hinko van Wyk. Those two in the midfield could cause real problems. I'll wait to the right-hand side. A try for South Africa. There have been many. We have seen the try for Benady earlier on. Ethan Adams has scored. I believe Rasif Hanga has got one. Hyandre Schoeman, Viambuera, and one more, I think we must have. Oh, above the horizontal, an advantage going the way of Australia for a dangerous tackle from the South Africans. Now Aussie trying to snipe their way through. Man who made his way off of the bench at number 23, Ngueros. A huge storm on the way, says Craig. And rain starts Monday night. Do you know when it's supposed to end, or is that something more than the weather people have got the info for? Ethan Adams is 104. Oh, so he does break that triple figure mark. He's probably going to get bigger as well, isn't he? Now, just short of the line for the Australians. Oh, the penalty try. That's the other one, yep. Now, another advantage. This could be close to a yellow card against South Africa here. Again, getting infringed right on their line. Now, wide cut-out pass for Australia. They will score. Oh, tell you what, he's tried to make hard work of it, but the try is awarded. And it looks like one of the Aussie players, the try scorer, may be down for a little bit of time. Australia trying to stay in the fight. At the moment, the score, I don't think they can get the win, but they're trying to deny the bonus point for the South Africans, as that would still keep the chance for New Zealand alive. I don't know whether or not they want to do them any favours. Why do they always play the Tri-Nations in South Africa? I don't actually know the reasoning behind it. I assume time zones to match the Under-20 World Championships to try and give these guys a bit of a warm-up in that regard, but yeah, there's been 3 years of it. The first year was on the Sunshine Coast, and it rained the whole time. Second year was in South Africa, and third year was also in South Africa. So I don't know whether or not it's broadcasters, like, I don't know if SuperSport have got some sort of bigger share in the Rugby Championship or the South African SANZAAR side of things. I'm not really sure. Because I would have thought they'd go Argentina and New Zealand as the other two, and trying to rotate it before or between the four countries. Maybe because of Super Rugby running in New Zealand, there's not enough stadiums available to be able to play the under-20 stuff, although they could have gone to like Queenstown or somewhere like that, maybe, updated on the time. Says Super. Don't forget who pulled South Africa's pants down Ellis Park with Over the Hill, James. Says Stasi. I'm surprised you wouldn't have mentioned the game last year where South Africa won, Australia won in the Under-20 Rugby Championship, rather than a game that like none of these guys faced each other. No way you make the big bucks hosting this in Argentina or New Zealand, says Big Rig. Yeah, but it's still, normally it's what the competition do, isn't it? They rotate between all the locations. Well, going off to the left-hand side. Nice ball, Ahmed. Rep gains for the nation. Yeah, that one's going to be grubbing in behind. That was last year. Yeah, last games like that happened last year don't count. Nothing counts from last year. It's just this year. I wonder if Evans hype will hold him back. This year, Bok eats everyone's face. I think that's where the Aussie tactics went wrong. They were trying to eat the Bok's face, and that's why they kept on going head on head and getting penalised for it. This one out in the middle of the post, Vusi Moyo, who scored for Aussie. We have seen the try from Riley Whitfield. That most recent try, I think, was Taioni Taka, but I could be wrong. And then also the try for Finn Mackay. As it true, I've heard a story that James O'Connor has been looked at by the Sharks next season. Someone did say that. I didn't know what Sharks they were referencing, though, whether or not that was going to be the South African Sharks or the Sale Sharks. But I assume it's the South African Sharks. Marcus Miller on yet? I don't think so. Or he may have just made his way on. There were a couple more changes. I see Bordeaux have almost just scored themselves another try, but they have just butchered it. That's close and over. Another try for South Africa. That should now secure that bonus point well and truly. That is 47-17. Showing that power up front yet again. Who was that, man? I missed the number on the back. I think if I had to guess, it might have been JD off of the bench. Where is he? No, JD's in there. He's upright. Luke Cannon, the man who has got the try in the end. Lomax or Lee, all the Lee boys coming for Union. Will Dave Rennie have an issue gaining players? Do you think winger Fihi Norfo will be part of that team? He probably won't be due to going overseas. Your broadcasts are great to keep us posted. Really enjoy these, says the Grey 619, and we are going to be back for the one coming up against New Zealand and South Africa. That is happening on Sunday New Zealand time, Saturday afternoon for you guys. I just checked along for Port Elizabeth area. Looking like Friday, Saturday, coming back to normal. I think there will be plenty of rain in that area, says Brian. So yeah, getting the job done now for the Boks is the ideal scenario. Because then no matter how blustery or rainy or anything that last game is, trophy's already in the cupboard. Who's your man of the match? I would say Viambuera did well in the first half. Benady started well. Rasif Hanga started well. I don't know who you... Ahmed's been solid at 10 throughout this match, although I don't think he's scored, but that shouldn't matter too much. He's got quite a few kicks over. I think he's sitting 100% kicking accuracy with 6 from 6. So you'd chuck his name in the hat. Those are well, Ethan Adams, he scored his try, but I don't think they'll give him the man of the match here. I think he's been solid enough, though, to be like top 5 contenders. Looking forward, Chicken Crichton and Union. We have their white play on a Sunday. South Africans go to church on Sundays, says WLK. Although it is Sunday afternoon. Like this game was kicking off at, what would have been, 4 p.m. So I guess it's late enough in the day that people have probably done their Sunday stuff by then. That's a big scrum from South Africa. And another advantage from the scrum, and they'll go back for it. And Scorman the 9 is my man of the match. He's a good shout. Did score that try before as well. I give Rambo a man of the match. And UBB score, 29-19. Who just scored it? We're seeing the replay now. But now 10 minutes remain in this contest. South Africa are one step closer to the u20 Rugby Championship for the first time. And will be able to call themselves the champs of this comp. Who has scored so far, says I Love Christ. So far we have seen Benady. He has scored. Ethan Adams has scored. I think Rasifanga. Also Skurman, Viambuera, Luke Cannon, and a penalty try. I don't cry over split win, or spilt win, Unless it was a full glass, says I am nutty, and it is a San Diego reference. I worked there for a while before heading to Calgary, says the Grey 619. A line out throw for the replacement hooker here in Sitole, and we do see another change. Who is that? Am I getting confused with who Marcus Miller is? Because I swear that number 23 who just came on the field is not Marcus Miller. Unless I'm mistaken. We're just showing that number 23 on the back. That didn't look like the man who made his debut for the Stormers. Is there a late change, maybe? For the South Africans Islanders in Australia, much tougher than African, to be honest. Says Starzy, although toughness doesn't always lead to results, as we're seeing here, 71 minutes in, the lead of 32 points. And Marcus Miller is injured. Okay, so that is why. Because every team sheet that I've seen has him in there, but I guess how quickly or like how far beforehand? Benardi says Neil. And Paul can imagine being injured on the game where you would win the championship. Because South Africa rules the rugby in the world. We say what happens where. A fractured finger, 6 weeks. I heard his son playing for the Stormers. He's out for 6 weeks. Okay, so I would say what's happened is someone's gotten confused at what, because is the man at 23, his last name, is it also Miller? I would say what's happened is someone's gotten confused along the way. I think the Boks are going to win this one. Says Bruce. Under 20 Rugby Championship. Hang on. We'll learn exactly who this man is because I feel like it's a bit rough not giving him any credit for being out there for the South Africans. Off of the bench, Jade Miller. Okay, so that's where the confusion's come in. It's a Miller of a different name. Finger broke. As Gill didn't make it, says Martin. This looks good for the future Springboks of the Talent On show. Go the Bockies. Enough time for the half century? Absolutely. Australia are inside of their own 22 and trying to win a scrum, which has been a hard day at the office all throughout. Now going for the grubber in behind here from Jacques, and the ball just beating the winger and goes out. Martin is right. Someone else win 2 back-to-back World Cups, beating everyone, then they can talk. Well, someone did do that back in the day, but I get what you're saying. And what I tried disallowed. I did see a little bit of referee TMO situational stuff going on. Australia basically always win touch in rugby league. And results secure for me. So cheers, Hamish. Thanks for the game, mate. Smash and like people. And he's the only one open or won't win Open Men's Touch International. Now thrown in by Sitole. Do they play as many games as the regular Champions Cup? No. So they're just 3 games for these juniors across the 2 weeks. Now, nice selling a dummy from Vusi Moyo. Ahmed is few. He will, through, I should say, and he will now score a try of his own. That probably, for me, secures the matchup. And they could talk back in the day, says Rugby Ready, although you did tell me anything that happened past tournaments doesn't count. So we've got to use that same reference there. Do you find it disorientating to follow more than one game at once? Little bit. I forget to look at the different screens, which I think does backfire. I see that Bordeaux are very close to scoring. Ben Tame Funa's over, and that's probably the game now for the Bordeauxians. Definitely not what they're called, but it's a fun one to say, isn't it? It's like how I called them Toulonians, I think, last night, which just isn't what they're called. What a powerful performance from these young Boks. Says the Grey 619. Touch with real deal skill. Australia are the goats, bro. Says Stasi, can you explain what's going on with the Moana Pacifica? They are more than likely not going to be a team next year. That's the basics of it. There are rumours that they might get backed by people, but whether or not they do is a different story. That kick has gone over in 5 minutes remaining. South Africa not just winning the Under-20 Rugby Championship from this game, but winning it in style with a big victory over the Australians. And this one's got to feel good for some of these guys like Avusi Moyo. He was there last year when they let that game slip. This time, they've got the big bragging rights. Boks Under-20 are looking as strong as New Zealand's main team. Says Rugby Ready. I couldn't work out whether or not that was like a compliment for a second. I was wondering whether or not you had actually praised another team, but then I realised you're saying it as if to say that this side would beat the New Zealand main team, right? Rather than some sort of compliment to another rugby nation. How do we get from 47 to 56, or did I miss something? I missed putting the conversion on because I forgot I was the scoreboard, is the gist of it. This is the under-20 championship. Does that mean that all the players have to be under 20 years old going into the tournament? Correct, yes. Although you can be 21, it just has to be that you're under the age of 20 at a certain date. So, like, they could have their birthday before the tournament, but still get to play. This is even out World Cup team. Says WLK. I know it would be 50-50. I think New Zealand main would win from experience. Says Rugby Ready. Now Australia going away to the right-hand side. Moving it on nicely. Australia still looking to get themselves another try. That's another knock on, though. And it will be another South African scrum. And not sure Aussies can come back from here. Yeah, I think they'll struggle. Scorer, please. It was Ahmed who did manage to score that one. My prediction of the Bok by 13 was a little off. Says Mike. I'm 21 years old 2 times. And the Boks have 47 or 49 before the last try. They have 49. I just said and updated it because I'm in charge of the scoreboard because they forgot to do it. South Africa don't have the most wins in any rugby code, and that's a fact. I never said that the Baby Bok team will beat the All Blacks. Clearly doesn't know much about rugby, says Christian. And like I said in the previous stream, these guys are leagues ahead and the future of the Wallabies is bright. Says Gaz. I know you're saying it slightly sarcastically, but they have got a few hidden gems in this side. The likes of Finn Mackay, I think he's going to be in the Aussie setup within the next 5 years, probably as a starter at 10, with the way that he's been able to show control and maturity and the way that he has played throughout this tournament. I think a couple of their forwards, the likes of Tom Robertson, seems to be a bit of a natural player in that loose forward trio. Cleverly's had a big game. Hamish, are you under 20 years old? Yeah, have been for about 6 years. Now going in behind. And they'll go back now for the original advantage. And we have got there why they only play each other once, because they have to fit this tournament in during like a smaller window, unfortunately. I'd love to see everyone play each other twice, but I think it's just also game management for junior players. Is Klakane not playing for under 20 anymore? Sadly not, but he is playing for the Lions in the URC. So that's something. Like a few of these guys, the likes of Chiswell Euster, he is in the squad. I don't think they're going to call him in now because they don't really need to because they've already won the championship at the end of this game. But the fact that he is someone who's on standby, Sayala, or Sayaya, I should say, sorry. Like he is also a guy that they could bring in just in case, you know, if things weren't going right. Score for South Africa. There's been a lot of tries. We have seen, I'll try and list a few of them. Bernardi managed to score. We saw Ahmed, Rasifange, Ethan Adams, Viambuera, Henry Skurman, Luke Cannon, another penalty to Australia, and a penalty try in there too. We're in for an awesome international season. I can't wait to see how the rankings end up. Any hat-tricks in this game? Actually, no. No one scored 2 tries in this match. Everyone has scored 1 individually of the 8 tries that have been scored. Bonus point win for the Boks here means they clinch the under-20 Rugby Championship crown with a round to play, as both Argentina and New Zealand can each end on the max 9, and the Boks would end on 10 after this game. That is correct, yes. So they did need the bonus point from this fixture, and that is exactly what they've been able to do. No doubles or hat-tricks, weird. It's just a real team effort, though, isn't it? If you end up with no one getting 2, of course, sometimes you can get 2 and it's still a team effort, but like really well spread out, which I think just shows, once again, it sounds like a broken record, but the depth of this team. The fact that it doesn't just rely on one guy to be able to get all of the tries. Now, 1 minute remaining here for Australia. They'd love a consolation try here. The 60 seconds on the clock. And thank you. I was working and listening to the Rugby Great channel. Keep this up for F1 in an hour. So stand by tall beardy, and we are going to be back for the game taking place. It's Saturday, 4 p.m. South African time on, I was about to say on Saturday, even though I just said it's on Saturday, but that is going to be New Zealand, South Africa. See how that match goes. And we have got there, how many tries do you have to score to reach the 100 points? Theoretically, if you just, like, you could take maximum 20 if you're getting no conversions. Although if you're sitting 0 from 20 in the conversion department, you probably want a new kicker. And by that stage, you even just chuck a prop up and hope for the best. Going off to the right-hand side here. Now, just out from the 22. They wanted the penalty advantage. They do not receive it, Australia. And by the way, Liverpool are level now. Oh, that's a decent comeback, isn't it? Now going away to the right-hand side again. Wanting one more. Fenwick off the bench. South Africa, they're looking for that one big last steal. We have there the scary thing. South Africa are missing 4 of their best players. Marcus Muller, Cheswell Eustace, Siaya, and Nebelele. Exactly right. We mentioned that a few minutes ago. How worst comes to worst, they could just call in a guy who's playing not international, but playing URC minutes consistently. And Cheswell Eustace. Siaya, he's been playing at 15 for the Sharks and doing relatively well. And then Nebelele, he hasn't really been given much of a chance URC-wise, has he? I think he's signed with the Bulls, right? And Rassi quietly thinking about a 3rd World Cup in a row, Hamish. Says, cool. I mean, I don't think he'll be quietly doing it. I think he'll be quite loud about it, Rassi, in terms of the fact that he has got a lot of players to pick from. Heading forward, South Africa won 4 World Cup, but didn't even compete in the first 2 World Cups. Says, just this year, although that's a bit of a topic that we won't go too much further in it because it depends on, like, some people go a bit rough around the reasons why they weren't competing in it. But the thing is, if they were in it, they probably would have been decent contenders too. The All Blacks was biggest problem is New Zealand rugby has stagnated over the last 5 years. And Bath fell away, Hamish. Yeah, currently 31-19 down with 5 minutes remaining in that contest. We might as well stick around for a little bit longer, see who wins that Bath versus Bordeaux match while we're at it. Bath are up by 12. But it's going to be the end of this contest. South Africa winning it 56-17 at full time. 1 second. We'll go like that. And we'll go like that as well. I actually had an idea the other day for Australia. They should just shift the stock between codes for each World Cup. They would dominate. But too much money involved. Bigger contracts in league. Yeah, the NRL have like way more money to be able to throw at the players, which is why a lot of those guys stick to the rugby league aspect. Yes, says Yanev. Yeah, it is a under-20 Rugby Championship for the first time. A man of the match, we haven't got confirmation as of yet. But now Baby Boks versus Baby All Blacks. Yeah, that one's going to be taking place in 6 days' time. We are going to be covering it on the channel too. And we have got there how many tries did Ethan score? Just the 1. Although he did score in the first game as well, of course. Imagine if the World Cup started earlier. And the 70s Wales might have won it, says Geza. And another diplomatic answer from Hamish. Maybe she could work as a diplomat for New Zealand, says Brian. But yeah, they will interview. Player of the match is... That is Wazzy. I've been saying his name well in the one time that it mattered. But yeah, Wazzy Vuambuera is the man of the match. I think he was the first man I said, wasn't it? And the initial ones, it's another try for Bordeaux. They've fallen over each other in the try-scoring celebrations. Good point, Geza, says, good story. And thank you so much, Hamish. Commentaries are the best, says Sue. Thank you very much. And the next one is going to be taking place next Friday, I believe, and that will be for some Super Rugby, the Blues versus Crusaders, the early game. We've got the URC next week as well. And thanks, Hamish. I hope you get a sleep in. Oh, no, sorry, get some sleep in. Yeah, I will be heading to sleep within the next, I'd say, 30 minutes. I might get 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours of sleep, and then we're pouring concrete. It's a good fun. Leicester let the 135 kg prop take the kick on his final game for a laugh. Says Big Rig. I think a few sides have done that, haven't they? They decide to give them a half a chance. Currently 2 minutes remaining in that Bordeaux versus Bath match, and Bath are now down by, I think that's about 17 points or so. I missed by a mile, and I asked a Welsh friend that question, but he wasn't sure. He thinks it would have been New Zealand versus Wales final, but unsure of the outcome. Says, guess a random. Yeah, it would have been very interesting to see those earlier World Cup days, because I know there was a really early Women's World Cup, wasn't there? And that was won by... Who won that one? Oh, I think there were a couple early Women's World Cups that they didn't count as World Cups, even though they at the time were kind of considered that. Second, we'll go to live on this Bordeaux versus Bath game. Yeah, 19 points difference between these two sides. I feel bad because Haino asked whether it would be 7 or 9 points separating them, and I said 9 might be a little on the light side if Bordeaux ran away with it. But that game was close for a long time. And Boks should have got 60, but still a good showing. Says Rugby Ready. And thanks so much for the great commentary. Cheers from Durban. Says Brian, no worries at all. But yeah, it's a solid game overall. Also, Argentina versus New Zealand. Enjoyable enough fixture too. Argentina now have a chance of finishing second in the overall standings, which of course they will look for when it's the final round, says Roger. So it is taking place Saturday, South African time. Don't worry about like the 9 days. That was 3 days ago. But Argentina versus Australia, that'll be taking place at 12 a.m. New Zealand time on Sunday morning. That is 2 p.m. South African time on Saturday. And then 4:10 South African time in the afternoon on Saturday will be when that game, South Africa, New Zealand, has taken place. There is a match that overlaps with it. That is Benetton versus Sharks, but we're going to be doing that game. South Africa versus New Zealand, that is. Seeing as Benetton and the Sharks both cannot qualify for the URC quarterfinals. And there are 3 unofficial Women's World Cups before World Rugby went all right and sanctioned them. And Pumas did okay. An interesting big joke. Says Stasi. But now Bordeaux, they are waiting to get themselves that final whistle blown. Ollie Lawrence running up the middle of the field for Bath. It seems like they still have one last attack in them to make the score a little bit closer. It'd actually be ideal if Bath scored, because then that score of 9 wouldn't actually be too far away. So we're at Sharks versus Benetton. No, we're not doing that game for next week. We're doing South Africa versus New Zealand instead. Who won those unofficial World Cup series, Giza? Quick hands from Bath out wide. Anyone who's just tuning in now, the game between the under-20 sides has come to a close. Bordeaux haven't got it, and Bath do. They score the last try of the game. It'll mean that they'll lose by 12 more than likely if they get this kick over, which looks better than losing by 19, I will say. But yeah, even though South Africa's already won the Cup, South Africa will want to cement their title. New Zealand will want to win the champs. Yeah, it's going to be intriguing because last year, very different sides for both teams. But it was 48-45. And I still say it was the best under-20 Rugby Championship game I've watched entertainment value-wise. Like, yes, there were a lot of missed tackles and a lot of defensive errors, but you just never knew what was going to happen. And that is what, made it so incredible. You completely made us not get worked up about rugby anymore after 2 years of only having your channel. Now with DSV, we are chilled out. Says cool story. Well, it's just rugby's a sport, isn't it? Rugby is unpredictable. I feel like I don't get stressed about games in the way that most people would. I don't know whether or not that's because of how many streams we've done on the channel. I think we're up to about 2,000 now, but I don't know. I just like watching the games as they are. So it's nice. Like New Zealand losing to Argentina, there'll be a lot of Kiwis waking up in a few hours, and there'll be some swear words being said. There'll be some players being criticised. There'll be some people who are just not happy about anything to do with that game. I'm like, oh, well, Argentina played better. They deserve to win. New Zealand left it far too late. Plain and simple. South Africa in this game deserved the victory. Australia loved the head high early. They decided that they wanted to try and take everyone's head off, but South Africa's attack, clinical. The 8 tries being scored and conversions from Ahmed was also extremely solid. What time is South Africa, New Zealand? At South African time will be 4:10 p.m. For us here in New Zealand will be 2:10 on the Sunday morning for us, Saturday afternoon for you guys. Please take care, pouring concrete. We do not want you filling your work boots with concrete, then gets dry and you cannot walk. To give next commentary, says Brian. Yeah, I have to keep an eye on the shoot, make sure that I don't get my feet in the wrong place, but I want to say it's not a big job, but it is, unfortunately. So, yeah, I'll try and sneak a few hours in, and we'll see how it goes. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, like I said, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Greatly appreciated you all being there for these games. And we'll see you all for the next one.